Welcome to today's tutorial. This is the last tutorial for the series we began on how to make this dress that you can see in the video, and we have done part 1, part 2. Part 1 is the pattern draft, part 2 the cutting, part 3 making of the upper bodice, and this is part 4. So we cut this in the part 2, and this is what we'll be making in the final dress, the joining. So watch carefully because I'll be sewing the skirt part in this tutorial. We've gone ahead to cut the lining. This was captured in part 2, so we are going ahead with the sewing. Just place your lining right side facing right side, and I'll be taking you through the sewing process. Okay, so we're on the machine right now, and I'm going ahead to sew the pieces. So first off is the front piece, like you see in the video before this one, or the clip before this one. We are sewing the front pieces. Please don't forget we shortened our lining in the part 2, so I'm expecting that your lining is shortened as well. And then, like I earlier stated, the right side should face the right side of lining face right side of fabric, and the first place you are going to be sewing is down. So this is the base of the skirt. Okay, so we are going ahead to stitch it, and of course I'll be explaining as the video continues. So this is the first side of the skirt that I have sewn down. I'll also go ahead and sew the other side of the skirt that is at the base. Now, having done that, what I am sewing right now is the side of the skirt. Okay, so this is for the front piece. Go ahead and stitch the side. Now, I'm not going to stitch the asymmetric cutting because, of course, you know that the slit is an asymmetric slit. So we are stitching the hip side from top down, but we will not be stitching the asymmetric slit side. We'll flip it over. You can see I'll do that shortly. The same thing I'm doing for the other piece of the skirt. This is also the hip side for the second piece of the skirt before we flip over. So we are done sewing the side, the hip side for the two front pieces. Now I'm going ahead to flip it over as I earlier said. So I'll flip it over and then you'll see what's next. I'm sorry the video didn't capture the whole workspace, but I'll do well to explain. Okay, so I'm done flipping it over as you can see. Then I will just stitch the other side, that is the asymmetric side. I'll stitch it on the good side. Okay, so turn the hip side as you turn your skirt, flip it over and stitch as I'm doing. The stitch is on the good side, and the stitch is on the good side because the style has something that looks like a bias tape used on it. So I'll be using a black bias to replicate what we had in the style inspo we are working with. Okay, so now for the other side, remember that the other side of the overlap skirt, it's like half hip. Okay, yes, if you can, it's like half of the hip. So I also went ahead to turn this hip side for the other skirt. Now I'll be doing a brief explanation before I take you back to when I inserted the bias. I want to show you something on the mannequin to help aid better understanding of what I'm working on, since the camera didn't capture the full workspace. Now you can see the finished skirt. Can you see where the bias is? So that's the same place I'll be placing my bias when you're watching after this clip. I just inserted this clip to show you what I'm talking about. This is the front skirt, as you can see, and this is what it looks like. It's a two-piece front skirt. Of course, we've drafted this. So I'll be putting the bias at the top, at the side of this overlap or this wrap part, and then the inside. This is how the inside looks like. Can you see this? I'll be putting the bias at after the half hip, just as you can see. So this is what I want to show you before I take you back to the making on the machine. So this is what we are going to be working on in the next clip. This is what the front piece of the skirt looks like right from, of course, while we're drafting. This is what it looks like, and this is what we'll be working on in the next clip. So I hope this aids better understanding on what points we are on the making of this skirt. Okay, so back to the sewing machine. I'm going ahead to stitch for the second piece that has the half hip. I'm going ahead to stitch, of course, on the good fabric. So you can see I'm putting my bias tape right now. I stitched the bias on the lining piece, as you can see, and then I'll flip it over to the good side of the fabric so that it will show. So I'm going to leave you to watch now, and I'll come back to voice when I need to explain something. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask and I'll readily respond to them. So at this point, you can see what we have. Remember, we are putting the bias at the slit side and then the top of the overlapped part. When we are done, this is what we had. Okay, I already showed you what it looks like on the mannequin. On this table, I already pinned it together. So, but this is what it looks like. This is what we've been working on. So you can see how it is. So go ahead and reproduce the same thing on your fabric. And then of course, we've worked on the back piece. As you can see, I did the back piece off camera, but that should be a walkover. Okay, just because there's no slit, so just work on your back piece the way you know how to work on it for your skirt. So now what we are doing is to join the front piece to the bodice or the upper part of the dress. Like I said, make sure you pin them to align. Make sure you pin it to align the same way it did while we were drafting. And then right now is for the joining. Go ahead and join it to the front part of your bodice, and then the same thing for the back. I'll be capturing the joining as well. Join the front to the upper part, the front upper part, and then the back lower part to the back upper part. And then by the time you're done with that, you'll be having a full gown. All that will be left to be to go ahead and put or use the measurements for the final shaping of the dress, and we are good to go. So can you see this? We are still joining. This is joining the back skirt part to the back upper part. Going ahead to trim off excess lining. So we are done, and this is what it looks like on the mannequin. Of course, the measurement is bigger than the mannequin we have here, but this is what it will look like. So you can see what we have. You can see our cape, you can see the bodies, you can see the skirt part, the overlapped parts, the asymmetric slits, and everything we've been working on. There's also a button by the side. I hope you could capture that. Yes, there's a black button by the side. Of course, when you're done, at this point, please do not forget to pin, especially when you're attaching both the upper and the lower part together. Please make good use of your pins and follow the exact shape you need. When you do this, you discover that there will be no shortages. The overlap part is resting on the skirt before the allowance. Okay, so there will be no shortages. You just have it as exactly as it is in the style inspo, or on the style inspo rather. Okay, so if there are any questions, do well to let me know. By the way, this is MS Collections. Thank you for watching. Stay safe.